Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Justin Perkins. This is Talk Junkie, and today we're going to cover some random topics that kind of link together somewhat. Just two little things I wanted to talk about. There's some sayings out there. Don't judge a book by its cover. Dress for what you want to be. Some people are the best of us. Things of that nature. Two main topics. The first one I want to look at is these people that are the best of us. In a time like this, in a time like we're in, a lot of times the worst of things and the worst of people get the most attention. I don't know why, but that's just how media and social media and a lot of people are geared. It's let's find the worst. This is a very trying time, a very scary time, and a very upsetting time for a lot of people. And we can look at the spring breaker kids in Florida who just had no regard for anyone else, and just didn't care, and put a lot of people at risk by their actions. Or we can look at the healthcare workers instead, who are literally fighting this on the front line. People say phrases like that often, on the front line and fighting and combat, and then people will say, well, they're not really soldiers, there's not really a war going on, it's not like they're getting shot at. No, you can see a bullet coming at you. You can see a lot of those things coming at you, and that's scary, and I can't imagine that, and I have the utmost respect for those veterans, but I think those veterans would agree, a war like this, to where you can't see this thing that's coming after you, and the chances of getting sick and possibly the chances of getting so ill that you die are very good when you're around it all day, every day, when actually it's literally your line of work is the only defense against it. That's a scary outlook. And, these hospitals are still full of workers. They're still full of nurses and RNs and doctors and people who are actually putting their life on the line to save us. See, that's what we do as people. It's easy to down people. It's easy to down the United States and go, well, man, I don't like what the U.S. does this, and I don't like when the U.S. does that, and I don't like this, and people shouldn't do that. But we don't really look at how we actually respond. Our government has proven to be fairly inept in the beginning of this, and our federal government finally caught up, but they definitely set us back. The White House put us behind in this endeavor and did not react well. And we could focus on that. But if instead we look at what some of the state leaders are doing, what they're doing is being very proactive and being very beneficial. People want to say, well, man, the United States has the highest rate of infection, blah, blah. Italy has 60-some million people, I think it was. I can't remember. Basically, Italy is a little bit bigger than California, the state of California, with about the population of California, plus I don't remember what it was, maybe a Kentucky and a Florida. I don't remember. We're 50 really good-sized countries. Well, we're 40-some really good-sized countries and a couple small countries, basically all rolled into one large country. So what they've been able to do with our population and our size, Australia is a freestanding body, a continent. It's the size of the contiguous United States. That's not counting Hawaii and Alaska. If you add in Hawaii and Alaska, we are larger as a country than that continent. But they have roughly the population of California, actually of Los Angeles, in their country. I think in regards to how we perform as a country, a lot of other people, including ourselves, don't give us the credit for the size of our country and just how that impacts our abilities, or at least how that reflects in the numbers when comparing us to other places. But I think when you look at the sheer size of our country and how we really performed in total with this, now that's giving no credit to the White House, and I'm not one of those people that sit on here and harp about a president nonstop or something like that. I don't like any of them. I don't like politicians in general, but I do believe many of the leaders, even the governors, have stepped up and done a good job. Now there's still some people out there that are just asinine and they've made poor decisions, but as a whole, it's done good, and people as a whole have done good. People are afraid of overreaching governments. I'm afraid of that. Now, when you say martial law, that does scare me. When you say mandatory lockdowns and shutdowns, that does scare me. It sets a precedent, and I don't like that precedent. But it doesn't mean just because I don't like it that I'm not willing to do it or that I don't think we should do it. But I think that's what makes Americans Americans. But I think if we wanted to sit and look at how our president handled this in the first couple of weeks, or if we wanted to sit and look at the number of cases we have, if we do that without looking at how the country as a whole has handled this and comparing us rationally, number-wise, we can't compare ourselves to China. China's not going to tell the truth. Nobody knows what happened in China or how many people they did or didn't have. But we can look at places like Italy, people that we can trust. And, if you look at all these countries sending aid, I've heard that Russia sent aid. A lot of countries are sending aid. China is sending aid to some countries. I would be hesitant about that if I was those countries, but they are sending it. If we look at those things, then we see the value in kind of what we're able to do as a country, and we see the good. We see the best of us. When we see Elon Musk say, okay, I'm ready to do what I have to do. I'm ready to help. When we see, people always want to talk about people with lots of money, myself included, like a lot of them can be very selfish. You've got athletes and stuff now offering to pay salaries for people who work at these arenas. Well, first of all, these arenas make millions of dollars, and they should be doing it. And the athletes should be donating to make money. They're getting paid massive amounts of money to do a child's game that is actually a poor reflection on us as people that they are famous and get paid to do that. But we have these medical workers that are not making money on that level, yet they're the ones that are saving our lives. And in wartime, we have soldiers that make no money, and they're the ones that save our lives. And we have police that make no money. But that's a negative part of us when we look at the good in us, that there are people making that effort to do those things. The students from MIT who developed the cheaper version of was it not the respirator, the mind blank. Anyway, and wanted no credit and wanted no money. They just wanted to get it out there to help people. Bill Gates has donated a lot of money. Like, a lot of people are stepping forward because the best of us, I feel, truly shine in situations like this. In small communities, you hear a lot about people helping people. There's always going to be the negative. There's always going to be the bad. There's always going to be the people that we wish there were less of. But there's much less of them than they are the good. It's just a matter of looking for the good instead of always looking for the bad. I think the problem is we often look to our leaders and we look at it through the media. And the media are bad, and our leaders are bad, and a lot of our corporations are bad, and we see them first. But when we look at it in depth, most people are good. I really believe that, and I believe in times like this, those good people shine. And it puts a value, hopefully it'll put a long-term value. Our country's making it without the NFL. Our country's making it without the NBA. Our country's making it without NASCAR. I don't know if more redneck-turned people are okay, but the rest of the country's making it. I mean, we're making it without a lot of things. Even music, and I love music more than anything in this world, but we're making it without music. Would life be boring and dull without art? Of course it would. We could make it. And those artists are doing great things to help other people. There's a local artist who started a coloring page for kids and stuff like that. Her name's Lacey Hale. You can find her, I think it's Art by Lacey Hale on Facebook. But she's a tremendous artist. She's had stuff displayed in New York, all over the place. She's got an Etsy shop. She owns, her and her husband own Roundabout Music in Whitesburg. They sell art out of there. But the best of us shine through. I mean, I feel that that's always the case. And I think it proves to us that we can never judge a book by its cover. I think times like this bring out the real in people. Some people aren't forced to act. Some people aren't called to act. Some people don't have a situation in which it's pertinent for them to react. Some people do. People we may have thought we didn't have a value for as a society, which is a sad thing to say, but some people feel that way about others. And in situations like this, you may feel that those others, you may see that they have much more value maybe in society than you do. You imagine these nursing home workers, they're in a situation where their patients, it would have to hurt to lose a patient at any time, I would think. You have to get attached to these people. Their patients are the most susceptible, which also puts them on the end, even if they are young. Look, I don't want to get this if I'm young. I've seen young people get it and it wreck them. Seen young people get it and they're okay. There's been some athletes get it and it wreck them. But that must be a stressful situation to be in. You wouldn't want to bring it in on somebody. You don't want to get it yourself. You don't want to see your patients. You don't want to lose patients, see them pass away. I mean, those people, they have to shine in a situation like this. Not because they want to, but because they're required to. But they're able to because that's the type of people they are. Some won't shine. Some doctors won't shine. Dr. Drew hasn't shined. Moron put some bad information out that I got a hold of. But even before that, I told myself, in a situation like this, doctors are a lot like mechanics in the way that they diagnose things and look at things. They're not necessarily experts. Everybody can't be an expert on everything. It's often better to look at infectious disease doctors or scientists or research scientists, specialists, people who are more involved in infectious diseases and viruses and things of that nature, than to expect your everyday general practitioner to have all the answers. I mean, he has to have such a wide knowledge that it's not often a deep knowledge in a lot of things. So, that's that judging a book by its cover thing. Main thing is, throughout your day, like it's easy to get down because it is scary. It is. Like, there's no point in sitting in line. Like, I'm scared. I've got a young son that's autistic who doesn't take oral medicines at all. It's rectal or IV, and there's no way he could stand to be away from us. What if he got sick? He had the flu once, and that was an automatic hospital stay. If he gets sick to his stomach, starts throwing up, he may quit eating. He only eats, really, at this point, we're down to 3 foods. Popcorn from IGA. He can smell it and tell you if it's a different brand, and he doesn't want it, if it is. Puff corn, which he barely eats. And French fries from Hyman Dairy Queen. What if they completely shut Hyman Dairy Queen down? He's going to be living off of, when he will drink, he doesn't like them, but we can get him down him, the vitamin drinks, the Pediasure. He would be down to popcorn and Pediasure. If he got sick and threw up once, that may trigger him to stop eating. So he would have to be, either on an IV or on he's done it before, where he's not drank and not eating. They've had to put him on an IV, and it could get to the point that he'd have to have a feeding tube. So I do worry about him. Of course, he's young. He may not get it. I worry about my mother. My mother works in the medical field. She's already had pneumonia once this year, and so have I, but I'm much younger than her. I worry about her. I worry about my wife and other people in my family because they hit some of these, I've got a father-in-law that's diabetic, people that are overweight, people with high blood pressure. Like my wife, I think maybe my sister-in-law and my father-in-law all have high blood pressure, I worry about my dad because he's not afraid of anything, and I don't know if he, worry about my Mama Minnie because, Mama's old, and something like that would wipe her out. And I worry about my wife's grandparents, and I worry about my stepdad's grandparents, and I worry about my stepmom, my Mama Brenda, her mom, because, she's an older lady. She's not that old, but she's an older lady, I mean, I worry about a lot of people. I worry about my daughter because she doesn't have the sense to listen to me. She's 21. I can't do anything about it. She's one of the people that are, quote, part of the problem, She had been in Florida. She's in Nashville currently. It's, and she doesn't see a threat. I worry about all those people. And it's scary, and you get scary, and you get bummed out, and you look at it and you go, man, what's going to happen? What if the economy doesn't bounce back? Everybody's like, that should be the last thing on your mind. Well, no, what if it doesn't? Because as rigged and crooked as it can be sometimes, things could get a lot harder and a lot worse for us and everyone we love if it didn't. I'm not saying put the economy over people's lives. That's what a greedy politician would do. I'm just saying that's scary as well. It's scary that this thing will probably be back in the fall. Scary that this will probably last all year. If I want to be selfish about it, it's extremely scary that it's the first time Rage Against the Machine's toured in almost 20 years. And I had tickets. That's being selfish and that's ridiculous. But, it is a scary situation. And the only way for me to not be constantly worried and my nerves eat up and I don't ever want to have panic attacks again. My heart goes out to anybody that has those. I don't want that to ever happen to me again. I wish it never happened to anybody. But one good way to fight that, and one good way to fight the fear and fight the worry, is to sit and find something good every day. Some story, something that shows me humanity's worth saving. That the only reason the earth's not been able to completely wipe us out, or that disease hasn't completely taken us out, or that look at how fragile and weakly designed we are. We're not made for survival. We're made to think. And you can think yourself into so much survival. But I really believe compassion can result in just as much or more survival than strength. So be compassionate. Be good to people. Think good thoughts about people. And appreciate those who shine in bad moments. But be understanding of those who fold. Because it means that they were weaker and they needed those people that shined. You may be one of those people that fold. I may be one of those people that fold. There's been times when I've had to step up and do things because they needed to be done, and I've done them. There's been times when I couldn't step up and other people had to, when my wife had to step up, or my mother, or my father, when somebody else had to step up, and I folded. And in folding, there's shame and there's guilt and there's sorrow, but in seeing the amount of selflessness it takes for someone else to step up, there's joy and happiness. So, saying dress for what you want to be, dress for the job you want, that somewhat pertains to this. Wear the mindset that you want. If you wear the mindset of fear and sadness and dread and hopelessness, then you're going to have fear and sadness and dread, and you're going to be hopeless. But if you can find a way to wear the mindset of optimism and positivity and a good outlook, it sounds so corny and so stupid, but just try it. What have you got to lose? But it's something to think about, if nothing else. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm not getting to record these as much as I want to right now, but I've got some back cataloged, and I'm going to kind of try to release them at strategic times. Keep downloading, keep sharing. My downloads went up a lot last week, so I had to do something right. I'm going to have to go figure out what that is. Please interact with me. It's so much easier if I know what you're listening to. There's certain people, Brandon, Richard, Mandy, there's people that constantly reach out and go, hey, this, Brian Hall, Bob, if you will. There's people constantly reaching out and doing that. Tyler, I've started, I know that he listens, but it's fun for me to do these, but I like the interaction. I've got Brian, a friend of mine, Brian, who's really wanting to come on. I'd like to have Brad or Richard and Brandon on here. There's a lot of people I'd like to have on here. My friend Joey, but it's just a matter of how I do it and where I'm able to do it and the app I'm using. I'll be honest with you, I'm using Spreaker. There's talks, I've been thinking about switching to Anchor. There's so many parts of the Anchor app I don't like. I have another podcast I'm doing with a friend. It's going to be a 2-person podcast, and we recorded our first episode on Anchor, and due to the connection, and that'll be the one place I can record is where I was recording at, and due to the connection, I mean, the audio was unusable. So, I don't know. With this setup I've got right now, I need to be at home with good connection, with a laptop, and use, can't remember the app, but anyway, I don't have that ability right now. But thank you all. Keep listening. Go to all those places I usually tell you to go to. Don't suck. Don't die. Lorna.